So thoughts fire together and wire together. Over time, we build a library of default fears, judgments, self-limiting perspectives of the world in the noble attempt to keep us alive and strong. We will not be fooled twice, right? We would rather be jaded than naive or vulnerable. And yet, a human doesn't know the difference between what is actually happening and what we think is happening. I'm going to say that again. The human body doesn't know the difference biologically between what we think is happening and what is actually happening. Perception is paramount, and our thoughts alone can keep us stuck, sick, unfulfilled, unhappy, limited. With our ability to think comes great gifts of creativity, ingenuity, advancement, growth, evolution, the power to create our own experience down to the most minute detail. And yet, as humans, we are trained to focus in on the pain. It is in our biology. We are running on default. We have three brains, essentially: the reptilian brain and midbrain. They make up our subconscious, you can see here on the slide. And then our frontal lobe, the crowning achievement of humanity, and that is the frontal cortex, the left and right, which is our conscious brain. Now, the frontal lobe is what makes us human. But the foundation of our brains, our core processor, is our subconscious mind, which is made up of our reptilian brain and midbrain. So it's helpful to think of our brain as a computer. And according to one of my favorite epigeneticists, his name is Bruce Lipton, he says the subconscious, the original brain, can process 40 million bits of information from the environment every minute, while the front part of our brain, which gives rise to consciousness, is optional and only processes at a rate of 40 bits per second. So 40 million bits of information or 40 bits. Now, of course, our subconscious is extremely helpful since we can't be present to process everything anew at once. You need to be a creature of habit in order to just function. The issue being, we begin to be programmed at a very early age by our parents, by the media, by our conditions, our experiences, the environment we witness around us. And it's a lot tainted. It's a lot fearful. It's a lot of misconception. Again, in a noble attempt to keep us safe, however, not always for our highest good. So it's easy to see how helpful it is in states of emergency, running from a tiger, but it is also easy to see how your subconscious mind is keeping you small, fearful, tainted, and safe. Now, the subconscious is, as we just said, 1 million times more powerful than your conscious mind. 1 million times. So we default to our original brain in emergency and stress. And if you think about the average modern human, it's all about stress, right? Our lifestyles are stressful. Lack of time, lack of resources, lack of money, lack of motivation, lack of fulfillment. We live in a stressful mode as humans as we have increased our workloads and made less and less time for the things in life that are important. Lots of stuff to multitask and juggle. And so even if you're the most mindful person on the planet, what is really running the show, especially in times of stress, which could be always? Now, you may have plenty of programs that serve you, but psychologists say that about 70% of our thoughts are negative and redundant. 70% of our thoughts are negative and redundant. Now, I call this mental looping. You can pull codes specifically for it, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. First, let's explore briefly why our thoughts matter so much. Why do our thoughts matter so much? Because our thoughts actually matter. Okay, physically. Our thoughts are what we end up experiencing as a physical manifestation. This is what they talk about, the law of attraction, what you focus on you get, yada, yada, yada. But what about the stuff that you don't focus on consciously, but that your subconscious is playing, since it's 95% of your day? You get that too, right? At a rate of about 95%. So, you don't have to be spiritual to understand that your thoughts can be detected outside your body. They have EKG machines to record thought waves, right? Your thoughts are waves of energy. Those waves of energy carry with them magnetism. And of course, I could go into days of information about this, from the quantum level to ancient energy maps. But for today, I will just say our habitual thoughts and feelings pull forth through resonance. And ultimately, what we end up experiencing is due to that broadcasting energetically. And it begins with your thoughts. You resonate and magnetize your reality, and that reality comes from your chronic thoughts and the emotional responses activated through those patterns of thoughts. So, thoughts and judgments are connected to all things. In the quantum world, you would call this entanglement. You are activating and magnetizing your reality based on what you energize, what you're connected to, the patterns you've woven. And what you energize is what you focus on and respond to, whether it serves you or not. What you sense with your senses and internalize as experience is what you're going to receive. So it's easy to see how the unconscious plays such a big role in what we end up experiencing, but it is often overlooked. And while the conscious mind is where free will is, it's only running at a 5% proportion. So the vast majority of our life comes from the programs we're playing. Dr. Joe Dispenza said, quote, 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old is a memorized set of behaviors, emotional reactions, hardwired attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions that function like a computer program. So then, a person can say with their 5% of conscious mind, I want to be healthy, I want to be happy, I want to be free. But the body is on a whole different program. Interesting, right? So, if you realize the vast majority of our daily magnetism is running on the background due to other maps of vibration which we've accepted along our journey as the way things go or are, that is what we magnetize. And these magnetizing thoughts and feelings are subconscious. What are these defaults? To save energy, we leave these predeterminations to our subconscious mind.